Good morning, everybody. This is Karen. I'm doing this video to explain how you would measure your charger to put text around the circle of your charger and how you would attach the text to a path. So the first thing you need to do is measure your charger at the widest spot across. I've measured mine and it's 13 inches, but of course I don't want it to go right up to the edge, and I want it to be about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. So I'm going to say it's 12.75 inches. So what I need to do is create a circle. I'm going to hold down my shift key. Well, first I'm going to press the ellipse tool, hold down my shift key and drag out a circle. It doesn't matter what size right now because I'm going to make it exactly the size I want. So I have clicked the arrow up here so that I can select my circle. And then I'm going to go to my scale window. And I want to lock the aspect ratio because it is a perfect circle, and I'm going to put in 12.75 to be 12 3/4 inches. Is it 12 3/4 that I want? Yes, that's right. I want to have 1/4 inch of a gap from the edge. So that is larger than my mat, but don't worry about that for now. Next thing I need to do is create an internal offset. And I will click my offset window up here. My circle is selected, and I'm going to click internal offset. And I want this now to be wide enough to fit my text inside. So I'm going to measure how wide that area is, remembering that I have 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So I want this also to be about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So I've got 1.5 inches that I can play with. So let's bring this to 1.5 if I can. Well, it can bring me to 1. Let's see if it'll let me go any further. Yes, it will. I just need to click the up arrow button. So I need to go to 1.5. I could probably type that in too. I'll just type in 1.5. That would be much faster. And then I'll apply that. So now I've got the circles I need that I can attach my text to. Next thing I need to do is type my text. I'm just going to use some plain font, and I'm just going to type random text. There we go. Now I need this to fit in one line across. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me undo. And I need this to be dragged out further for it to fit across in one line. I was doing that wrong at first. So now to attach this to my path, all I do is I drag this circle over here over to my circles. There we go. And you just play with it until it sits where you want it. Then you can drag it around like this. And if it's not fitting the way you want, if you want it to be somewhat larger so it will fit further, you can type in another measurement for your text. Okay, it goes to 0 first. Now don't be afraid, it's going to come back. Now when I type in 80, my text will come back. It's not quite big enough yet. So I'm going to do that again. Again, I may as well just go to 0 because that's what it's going to do. And then I'll choose it again and I'll type in 100. Almost big enough. So again, so you just play around with it until you get it at the size that you want. So I'm going to do 120, and I'm pretty sure that that should be good by now. It is, but maybe it's a little bit too big. I'm going to say 110, and I'm going to put an asterisk in the middle so that it shows where my text ends. I'll show you what I mean. Over here, I'm going to put a space and a couple of asterisks. There we go. So I can still move my text here. I just grab this and drag it around if I want to. Whoops. You see, you can have it inside and outside, but in this case, you definitely want it in this area to be in the right place on your charger. So the one thing you want to do now, and actually it doesn't really matter how you cut it out because this will simply fit on your circle. What you do want to do though is you want to line it up so that you'll be able to split this in half, because you're not going to be able to cut this exactly the way it is. You won't be able to fit it on your mat, and it's going to just not work out. Also, the width of your cameo is 12 inches, so it won't be able to do 13 inches. At this point, you're going to want to drag your text so that you're going to be able to cut it in half to do what you need to do. At this point, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to grab this handle again and drag your text so that it will be in a position where you can cut it in half. I'm looking at this line right over here because I've got my separating here, and I've got this last asterisk over here. Okay, so I'm going to be able to cut this in half, and I'll be able to cut this part and this part separately. Now what I need to do is ungroup my text so that all of these parts are separate. I'm going to delete the outer circle, then I'll delete the inner circle, and it's important that you ungroup your text before you do that. Once you ungroup your text, it is no longer actual text. It looks like text on the screen, but it doesn't act like text in your program. Now they are simply graphic elements. Once I've done that, I'm going to select the upper portion of my text. This is why I like to use the crosshairs. I like to have them displayed because when I move my cursor around, I can see that with my cursor starting here, I'm going to be able to select everything up from there, and I will be able to group exactly what I want. So now I'll group that, and I can do the same now going down. If I click away from the top portion, which as you see, it's all together now. Now I can use my crosshairs to see where I need to start my box to drag across all my text, and I'm going to group all of that. So now I can take this, move it on the side, I can rotate it so that I can keep it out of my way. It doesn't matter which way it's sitting because once I cut it out, I'll place it on my charger the way I want it. So I'll rotate this as well. Just makes it a little bit easier to see and work with. So you see now this fits on my mat. Barely, but it fits. So I'll just drag this off my mat, and if you double check your cut lines, you'll see everything here will cut. So this is the part I'm going to cut first. I will load my vinyl or whatever I'm using, and once I'm done cutting that, I'll move it out of the way. Whatever you drag off the mat will not cut. Then you'll put this on your mat, and then you cut this part of it. And you can use 2 small pieces of vinyl if you want to do this, or you can just use vinyl in your cameo. So that's it, and then you just line it up on your charger. You've got your curve exactly right, and I hope that's been helpful to you. So thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.